Today we're going to talk about progress in T-Lock 2.0 and what makes it 2.0. From the beginning, we've had the original T-Lock design, which has changed very minor over the years. And if we look at that here, we can see that T-Lock design and compare that to the rim here. And you can see that T-Locks, this in focus here, if we look at the T-Locks here, they don't stick out very much. So under high RPMs, they could spin out and the T-Locks could separate a little bit. So it's pretty rare, but if the tolerances aren't super tight, and if we pull on this, we can see that we can make that move around a little bit. The whole idea was to not use glue and to make it where we can swap out rims, we can do the splits. This tolerance is actually just a little loose. As the printer's been getting dialed in over time, those tolerances should have been tightened up a little bit. But we left them kind of loose because it made it easier to take the rims apart, as long as you weren't running really high power or high RPMs. Now there's been kind of a push to run higher kV motors. We're running higher power, running higher RPMs. So it's time for an evolution. I haven't changed the T-Lock because that made it easier for people down the road if they wanted to swap between wheels, if they had the same size, swap tires. This was just kind of universal. Now we're going to go to this 2.0 system. So what makes it different? We're going to compare here a couple of things. This is the new T-Lock. So if we look, the T's are a little longer compared to the old style. All right, they go all the way to the edge here without a lip. And here we got a little tiny lip right there, which we've moved the T-Lock all the way out so we don't have that lip anymore. Made it a little easier to print, but it also, the end goal was to make the wall thinner. So now we've got just a thinner tire, which is going to help hopefully make it a little lighter, but also keep us from having that rotational mass that's going to pull the tire out from the T-Locks. And if we look at the rim, we can see that's the mating side of it. We can see that those T's now are a lot longer and wider there. So now when we look at this and we put the rim together, we can see that up close there, right? Now we've got, there we go. Now we've got a much wider surface area there that's going to make it harder for that to pull out under higher RPMs. The quick solution to that in the past is put a little bit of glue on it and away you go, and if it was pulled out. And it doesn't damage the wheel. It's not a permanent. I've seen people run with one pulled out not realizing it for a few races until we looked a little closer. Really all you got to do is just pull the rim back off and get the lock back in there and push it back in, and it'll reset itself back in there, which is great. The other difference we did on this T-Lock 2.0 is, let me pull the rim off so you can see this a little better. We've now got this lip that sits here. So on the inside of the rim, if I can get the camera to focus here, there we go. We have a lip now. When we looked at the rim, it's completely flat, right? So this one has that little lip that rises up there. And what that does, it allows the ring to sit inside between the tire and the rim. Now, the advantage to that, if we look at the original T-Lock, and we'll put a ring on here. So when you're looking at the inside of the rim right here, you're seeing the ring, right? So sometimes if the ring's not pressed in all the way, or you have a little bit of a gap, sometimes due to expansion on the tires, you wind up a little gap that sand can get stuck in. So by increasing that and making it sit inside, now when we put the ring on there, the ring is actually sitting inside, and then the rim will come up to the ring, right? It's going to allow us another really cool thing. So right now we have a black ring, but now if we take this ring, which is two-sided, the other half of it's printed red, now we can switch it out to a red ring and you don't even know, all right, that the other side's black. So we could have multicolored rings that you can swap back and forth, maybe a blue and a red, or a red and a blue, and then you only have to have one ring. Right? If we look at putting that ring on, say, it doesn't fit this one, but if we didn't have that raised rim, you'd see that line right there. So it'd be black on the outside, say it sits like that, but when you look at an angle, you'd see the red on the inside, right? So by inlaying that in there, we're not only going to hopefully help keep the sand from getting in between that ring down there, the sand's just going to want to just come right off the rim and just blow right off. Now we can run dual color rings, which will be cool. Now the inside ring we don't have that lip on the inside ring, and we don't have enough room for that. So if we do 2 color rings on the inside, you would see that down there. Wouldn't be as obvious as the outside, but maybe just running a black on the outside, and then if you want to run a color ring on the outside, we just flip it, screw it down, and away we go. So that is T-Lock 2.0, and I'm excited. I think it was time. The main reason for 2.0, if I grab another set of tires over here. So if we look at the Grom wheel, you can see that there's just not a lot of room, right? So with that T-Lock being really thick right there, not a lot of teeth on there to hold this thing. So it made it harder to get the thickness down and the wall thickness down on the rim, right? We're left with that thickness, where this one now, right, it's a lot thinner. So it's going to make for this inside diameter of the rim to be bigger without having to increase the overall circumference of the wheel. So when we're getting into these smaller wheels, we ran into a problem when we were designing them, trying to figure out how to get that tire small enough to clear the arms and the tie rods and the turnbuckles, because you can only increase the rim and tire so much to try to compensate for that. But so that was kind of what sparked the need for the 2.0 design. So this is the first wheel that's going out on this. This is a custom size. So this is the first one that will be going out with the 2.0. We'll slowly be upgrading wheels. Any new designs that will come out and sizes will automatically have the 2.0. And then I think I'm just going to start going through the back catalog and start upgrading all of them to the 2.0 system. And then that'll end up hopefully making the rims, I won't say it's going to make it a lot lighter. It's going to make the rims probably maybe a little bit heavier because we did add some material, but it's going to make the tires lighter, which takes that rotational mass and moves it toward the center instead of it putting it out on the outside. So when we look at the two differences, and these two tires are obviously different size, but when you compare them, you see that wall on 2.0 versus the wall on the original. So by getting that a little thinner, we're using less tire material, less outside rotational mass. It's cost-wise, it doesn't really save any money. It's not, these materials pretty much are the same cost. Print time's not much different. So really the optimization is just trying to get this rigid here so it doesn't get pulled out, and just a cleaner looking design. Plus by resetting and going back to T-Lock, we tighten up the tolerances a little bit and get those dialed back in, because over the years we've just been resizing and downsizing. But I think it's going to be harder for that T-Lock to pull out of there. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that design, and start looking for that. You might see an option on T-Lock 2.0 for dual color. So if you want red and black, or black and maybe black and blue, or maybe blue and red, you'll be able to get those rings in 2 color. Probably the center is going to stay black, unless we specifically want just all blue in there. So, but cool little option on 2.0.